always his work my father cared about. His research. He tried to save his work. I tried to save him.
Hello there, Sera from 17 once again, introducing you to the second section to Chapter 3 in my Gears of War 3 Insane Difficulty video walkthrough. And this is I believe it's the last part of Homecoming. So, right there, if you chainsaw that box that I did, I believe you get some grenades, and if you chainsaw through this, you'll enter into this big room, which for anybody that played the beta will recognise as the supermarket that one of the multiplayer maps is based on. And in here is a massive fight with a lot of Lambent, and this is a pretty challenging fight. The reason it's challenging is because unless you kill the pods that are sprouting on the spores, on the... the stalks, that's it. I completely had a mindfuck then and forgot the name, but what I do here is I prop myself up against the shelves and I throw a grenade, and I'm very aggressive on this bit because I died, and I tried to do it like a coward. I died. I thought, fuck it, I'll do it like a psychopath. So the first thing I do is I rush all the way across here and I start taking out the pods on this stalk. Only problem is, him there, that is a drudge that has mutated into something that can one-shot kill you. Do you see that there? That kills you. Stay away from it. So I'm back into cover, just shooting at the pods. Once again, it's just spawned another bloody dredge and another standard guy. But the aim here is to make it atrophy like it just did. As soon as it's gone like that, you can back up and you can take them off from a distance, because what it means is you've got rid of the enemy spawner. As soon as you get rid of the enemy spawner, you are safe to pick the enemies off. He's just transformed again into the double-handed one. This thing also can insta-kill you, so you want to be as careful with it as possible. Shoot its hands where it glows, they'll blow up, and then it'll eventually blow up itself. There you go. You can completely skip that entire fight with those kind of enemies with a grenade, but if you don't have them, then you can't do it, so it's always good to know. But you can headshot the dredges. I've done it in horde mode with the sniper rifle. I just don't know if it's worth trying instead of just shooting the glowy bits, because I do believe the glowy bits work just like Lost Planet, and they give you a damage multiplier. So keep your distance. Them dredges are so accurate with whatever the hell it is that they fire. It's some kind of projectile made of emulsion. And it's really quick as well. You can be roadie running, rolling, it doesn't matter. The enemy on Insane will hit you. And this is one of the few times I'm using the iron sight on the hammer burst. And I do like the hammer burst, it's quite powerful. The only problem with it is, you've never got enough ammo. It runs out so quickly. It really does. But be careful pushing forward, because there's nothing worse than getting lanced down when you've done a massive epic fight, and some little bastard in a corner just goes, "Good night," and just takes you out. And I mean, look at this. I'm onto my Lancer now, and it's the only gun I've got ammo for. It's I don't know why they've decided to make it so scarce. It just seems very interesting. It's definitely more noticeable than it's ever been. But this is kind of funny. If you go up to this, you can put a hat on. It's entirely up to you if you want to put it on front or backwards, but I just pressed one at triggers. I can't remember which one I pressed, but here we go. Cole's now got his cap on. We're ready to do battle. And there's a sniper rifle here that you can use. And what I would recommend is using the sniper rifle from a distance and then swapping back to whatever gun you replaced it with, or using the sniper rifle all but one bullet and swapping it with an ally so that they've got it, because the cool thing about your allies is they're pretty accurate with the weapons, so if you give them a power weapon, they're going to do some serious damage. Sometimes they're kind of fucking stupid, like Carmine at the moment's got a torque bow, and he charges it for like 6 weeks before he fires it, and I don't even know why he does that, but you know, it's programming in it. They've decided to make them a little bit more passive so that you feel like they're doing something, but you don't feel like they're doing too much. So this next area's got a lot of stalks and a lot more lambent, so just take them out at your own leisure. Make sure you focus on the stalks first. I'm just using the little corner trick, which doesn't seem to be half as effective as it used to be, to pick dudes off with the sniper rifle, but because it's on Insane and because you get tagged so fast when you move out of cover, I shoot really quickly with the sniper rifle, and a lot of the times I miss. I'm more than aware of that, guys. I miss like a shit when it comes to the sniper rifle. At the same time, I'm very frivolous with it because I know I'm not going to be keeping it for very long, so I try to sweep shot, I try to, you know, all sorts of madness, and a lot of the time it fails. But every time it succeeds, there's a nice little, oh yeah, and then you carry on and miss another 7 times. But just keep picking dudes off from a distance, and hopefully your team will help. right here there's one stalk that isn't dead, and that's the reason why there's so many enemies, and I think I got carried away right then, and I didn't realise they were being spawned in. So sometimes it's a choice. I had to take a sip of water then, but excuse me. Sometimes it's a choice though, and the choice is take the stalk out, kill the enemies. The stalk is almost every single time the best option because it'll make sure that there's less enemies than there needs to be, but sometimes you don't have the luxury of getting close to it, and a fantastic example of that is, if anybody's played the game, another sip, I'm dry like a fucking desert here. When you go into a certain area for a certain person in Act 4 to get a cable car, that's not a spoiler, you come up, you're moving through a subway station and you get to the doorway to the place where the cable car is. And I think you get introduced to lambent wretches for pretty much the first time in the game at that point. And right then, you get assailed by so much fucking lambent, it is horrific. And a stalk, I think 2 stalks pop up. And they're on higher ground than you, so you have to run up a hill to get to them, and they're constantly throwing out lambent, so if you get anywhere near these stalks, you die. There's too many enemies. If you back off, the enemies rush you. So you're not hitting the stalks, the enemies are rushing you, you die. And there doesn't seem to be a good way of doing it. It got to a point where I was just like, this is just fucking stupid, I hate this. And the strategy that you're going to see in the guide that I use is be a coward and pray, and it somehow manages to work. But there's there's a couple of parts of this game where, I'm not even kidding, people's will's going to get tested. If you do not have a strong will, and if you're not willing to get beat down for, 10, 20 lives, you're probably going to give up. And I'm here to hopefully lighten the mood a little bit and get you laughing about it, because I know if I'd not have been laughing at myself dying, I'd have probably gone downstairs and ended my family tree. So it literally gets to the point where it's horrific. But it's very doable. The one parameter you can't control that you need a hell of a lot of is luck. And I hate it, but what can you do? So I trimmed another cutscene out there because I don't want to ruin any of the spoilers in the game, and there are a couple. But when you come into this room here, we've got to find a way to overturn the locker, and all you have to do is chainsaw this box over here and press a button. And it's going to introduce you to the vehicle mechanics. Much like the Silverback, you will be getting into the equivalent of like a futuristic forklift truck and moving certain supplies. I don't know what the hell that is on that shelf. I thought it was a boom shot, but it's not. So you can run in this thing, which is cool. And what I don't understand personally is this thing, for all intents and purposes, is the exact same as the Silverback. It just doesn't have, the offensive weapons on it. Yet it can sprint without overcharging itself, without overheating. I don't get that at all. So this encounter here is interesting, because what it wants you to do, it wants you to bust down the doors and carry some groceries back to the landing zone for the Raven. And what will happen is, as soon as you kick down the corrugated fences, on the other side of the arena is a bunch of stalks are going to spawn, and you're going to go in a massive firefight with some lambent, and it's actually the last firefight of the level. It's also one of the more challenging ones so far. So what I like to do is I like to kick out open every one of these doors, and what it does is, when you kick them open, is it gives you a vantage point to shoot the lambent, because never fall down until you've either killed the stalks or cleared out the area, because if you do, you're at a massive disadvantage, and the enemies are an absolute pain in the arse. So, the first thing I do now that I've kicked the doors open is I get out of the thing once I've picked up all the stuff you need to take, and I'm probably going to be using my hammer burst. Here I go. So that's the first stalk, and that is as clear as day as a pod is ever going to be. You can see it, it's like a big old cancerous tumour on the side of the beanstalk, or whatever the fuck it is. And you need to kill, there's generally 2 or 3 of them on them. When you've killed them all, they will go brown, and that's what we're aiming for here, because when they go brown it means they can't spawn anymore, and then we can trigger the next section of this fight. And the reason I'm being tentative, and I'm aiming at everything, is because if you die really quick on this section, and there's a boom shot behind me, so I don't want to fall down before I've used the boom shot. I want to make as much damage and do as efficiently as I can from this vantage point before I go down. But I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing now, so maybe maybe that method fucked up and I decided to to just go for it. So when you get down here, you've got to use the mech to kick these cars. When you kick them, it's going to trigger enemy spawns. So there you go, there's more lambent. You are not safe in the mech, so get out of it as quick as you can. First thing I do, I prioritise the new pod that's just appeared on the stalk. I've got to use the mover to move the next van, but ignore that, completely ignore that. There's too much of a firefight happening and you will die so quickly. You want to get your ass out of there. So unfortunately for this area, you can't use the shoulder trick of eking your way out, because I don't think you can swap shoulders on Gears, because it's all about cover. So now that I've used enough of what I guise my hammer burst to have been, I'm going to be picking up the boom shot, using it, swapping it back, and then going out and finishing the fight. So now there's been a spawn, now there's some enemies, boom shot's equipped. I can go about shitting on some people, hopefully. So off in the distance there is another stalk spitting enemies, so we need to get rid of that. And I fire the boom shot, which is very brave of me, because they've tweaked the trajectory on the boom shot. It still works the same in principle, but the arc is different. When I first used it, it felt really off, and I don't know if it's because I've not used the boom shot in a while and I'm just rusty, but I do think they've changed it. I think it's slightly different, slightly weightier, but that's just me. So now that I've used all that as best as I possibly could, I'm going to come back over here, pick up the hammer burst, and then I'm going to go out and hopefully conclude this chapter. So there's the grenades, and you've just got to go outside now and finish it off, basically. So the green smoke's where we need to be, but we have to kick the van to get there, and the lambent are effectively now in our way. So use your hammer burst, use your lancer, clean them up, push forward when you know it's safe, try not to take too many risks, and hopefully you should be good. One of the awesome things about Gears 3 that wasn't the same in Gears 2 is your teammates can't die. So if you ever played Gears 2 on Insane, they introduced this bleed out timer that was fucking cruel, because Dom would run off like an idiot, get himself into a whole load of bother, and then he'd go down and he'd be crawling to you asking for your help, and you had maybe 50 seconds to pick him up. And the problem came from, you had to go out of cover into the danger zone to pick the bastard up, and if you went out of cover on Gears 2, you were dead. You were dead so fast, and it became this catch-22 situation of, if I don't get out of cover and rescue him, I'm gonna fail, but if I get out of cover, I'm gonna fail. So there were some parts of that game where you literally had to do it so fast they didn't have time to kill Dom, and it was tough at times. It was really tough. But on this game they've completely got rid of it, which is an awesome thing. But they've replaced it with overly aggressive AI, which I'll talk about in the next video. So thanks for watching, guys. You take care now.